Jin Hokim crouched beneath the massive quantum core of the starship Cosmic Dawn, his weathered hands covered in luminescent alien grease that glowed faintly blue in the dim maintenance bay. The 24-year-old human had spent the last 2 years crawling through the ship's mechanical bowels, fixing problems that the sophisticated Volta-run crew couldn't even detect. Today felt different, though. The readings on his handheld scanner showed energy fluctuations that made his stomach twist with worry. Above him, the pristine corridors of the luxury vessel buzzed with activity as alien diplomats prepared for the most important journey in galactic history. The Cosmic Dawn wasn't just any ship, it was a floating palace designed to impress, with crystal observation decks, artificial gardens from a dozen worlds, and quarters that could adapt to any species' environmental needs. Jinho had helped build half of those systems, though none of the aliens would ever acknowledge his work. "Move aside, dirt crawler," growled a passing Voltaran security officer, his 6 arms adjusting various weapons on his belt. The towering blue-skinned alien didn't even look down as he stepped over Jinho's toolbox, scattering precision instruments across the metal floor. Jin-Ho gathered his tools silently, a habit he'd developed over years of similar treatment. Humans were considered the galaxy's janitors, good enough for maintenance work but too primitive for anything important. Most aliens believed humans had only recently discovered fire, despite the fact that Jinho could repair quantum engines that baffled engineers from civilizations thousands of years older than Earth. The scanner in his hand beeped urgently. The quantum core's harmonic frequency was shifting in ways that shouldn't be possible. Jinho had seen similar patterns once before during his training on Mars Colony. Right before a fusion reactor had nearly melted down, his heart started racing as he realized what the readings might mean. He sprinted through the ship's lower corridors, dodging maintenance robots and cargo loaders, heading for the main engineering deck. The Cosmic Dawn was preparing to carry ambassadors from 12 species to the Galactic Peace Summit on Kepler Station if something went wrong during the journey. It could spark wars across multiple star systems. The engineering bay doors hissed open, revealing Chief Engineer Velta and his team of Voltaron technicians working at holographic displays that floated in the air like glowing puzzle pieces. Velta stood nearly 8 feet tall, his crystalline exoskeleton catching the light from the displays, like all Voltarons. He believed that advanced technology required an advanced mind, something he was convinced humans lacked. "Chief Engineer Velta," Jinho called out, holding up his scanner. "I need to report unusual readings from the quantum core. The harmonic frequencies. Stay out of the way." "Human," Velta sneered, his voice creating harmonic overtones that made the air vibrate. His 4 eyes never left his holographic displays as he dismissed Jinho with a wave of one clawed. "And your kind barely understands basic tools, let alone quantum mechanics." The other Voltaron engineers laughed, their crystalline bodies chiming like broken bells. One of them, Sub-Engineer Crystal, pointed at Jinho with obvious amusement. "Perhaps the human thinks his primitive scanner can detect problems our advanced systems cannot." Jinho felt his face burning with frustration, but he'd learned not to argue. Instead, he held out the scanner toward Velta. "Just look at the readings, please." "Something's wrong with the core's quantum matrix." Velta finally turned, his alien features twisted in annoyance. He glanced at the scanner for barely a second before turning away. "Human instruments are toys compared to our technology. We have been monitoring every system for the past 6 hours. Everything is perfect, but the harmonic frequency, enough." Velta's voice boomed through the engineering bay, causing several junior technicians to stop their work. "You are here to clean filters and replace worn components. Nothing more. Do not presume to understand systems that your species couldn't even imagine." Jinho watched helplessly as Velta returned to his work, completely ignoring the warning. Signs that seemed so obvious, the other engineers resumed their tasks, occasionally glancing at Jinho with expressions of amused superiority, defeated. Jinho made his way back to the lower decks where humans were allowed to exist. His small quarters were barely larger than a storage closet, tucked between the waste recycling systems and the emergency supply lockers. The walls were metal, the lighting was harsh, and the only personal touch was a photo of his family back on Earth's New Soul colony as he sat on his narrow bunk. Jinho stared at his scanner's display. The readings were getting worse. Whatever was happening to the quantum core, it was accelerating. In a few hours, the Cosmic Dawn would depart for a Kepler station with the most important diplomatic mission in galactic history aboard. He set the scanner aside and tried to sleep, unaware that within hours, his knowledge would be the only thing standing between 12 species and disaster in the cold emptiness of space. The first alarm pierced through Jinho's restless sleep like a knife. Red emergency lights bathed his tiny quarters in an eerie glow as the ship's automated voice echoed through the corridors in 12 different alien languages. Critical system failure detected. All crew report to emergency stations. Jinho bolted upright, his scanner still clutched in his hand from when he'd fallen asleep. The readings were now completely off the charts, chaotic energy spikes that made the devices screen flicker and spark. He grabbed his tool belt and rushed into the corridor, where panic was already spreading like wildfire. Alien crew members ran in every direction, their various forms of communication creating a cacophony of sounds. Tall, insectoid Zephyrians clicked and buzzed frantically while small, freak-wheel nully squeaked in their high-pitched language. The ship's artificial gravity lurched suddenly, sending several crew members floating toward the ceiling before slamming them back down. "What's happening?" shouted Heywanli, another human maintenance worker, as she struggled to keep her balance against the corridor wall. Her dark hair was streaked with the same blue grease that stained most human workers aboard the ship. "System cascade failure," Jinho replied grimly, checking his scanner again. "The quantum core's destabilizing exactly like I warned them it would." The lights flickered ominously, and for a terrifying moment, complete darkness engulfed the corridor. Emergency power kicked in just as the life support systems began cycling erratically, causing the air to taste metallic. And then, on the bridge, chaos reigned supreme. Ambassador Zethara, a dignified reptilian diplomat from the hegemony worlds, gripped her chair as the ship shuddered violently. "Captain Murdoch, what is the nature of this emergency?" Captain Murdoch, a massive Voltaran with battle scars across his crystalline exoskeleton, was frantically coordinating with his crew. "All primary systems are failing simultaneously, Ambassador. We've lost navigation, communications are intermittent, and life support is operating at 60% capacity." So young Park sat at the communications station, her human fingers flying across alien controls that most of her species couldn't even read. She'd spent years learning Voltaran technology, often working double shifts to prove herself worthy of the position. Now, as alien officers panicked around her, she remained focused on her task. "Mayday! Mayday!" She transmitted on all frequencies, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "This is the diplomatic vessel Cosmic Dawn. We are experiencing critical system failures and require immediate assistance. Our position is..." She paused, checking the navigation display, which showed nothing but static. "Navigation is down. We're somewhere between the Altair and Centauri systems." The reply came back as broken fragments from Galactic Rescue Command. "Copy partial transmission. No ships in. Sector 4, ours, down in the engineering bay." Chief Engineer Velter, as usual arrogance, had transformed into desperate frustration. His team of Voltaran engineers worked at their holographic displays, but every solution they attempted seemed to make the problems worse. Sparks flew from overloaded circuits, and the smell of burning quantum processors filled the air. Sub-engineer Crystal, reroute power from secondary systems, Velter commanded, his forearms working at multiple control panels simultaneously. Attempted, Chief Engineer Crystal replied, his crystalline voice cracking with stress. Each time we reroute power, another system fails. It's as if the ship's infrastructure is turning against itself. The massive quantum core in the center of the bay pulsed with unstable energy, its usual steady hum replaced by an ominous grinding sound. Warning lights flashed round its containment field, indicating that the energy levels were approaching critical thresholds. The quantum encryption is corrupted, Velter announced over the ship's communication system to the bridge. His voice, usually full of confidence, now carried a note of panic that sent chills through every crew member who heard it. This is impossible to fix with our current methods. The corruption is spreading through every networked system. Jinho entered the engineering bay just as Velter made his announcement. The alien engineers were so focused on their crisis that none of them noticed the human maintenance worker slip in through the side entrance. While they frantically typed commands into their holographic interfaces, Jinho pulled out his simple handheld scanner and began taking readings from various points round the quantum core. The device painted a picture that none of the advanced Volta-run systems could see. What looked like random static and meaningless data fluctuations to alien eyes revealed distinct patterns to Jinho's human perception. His brain, evolved for pattern recognition and creative problem-solving, began connecting dots that the aliens' logical, systematic minds couldn't process. Increase power to the quantum stabilizers, ordered Velter desperately. Sir, that might cause a cascade overload, warned another engineer. Do it anyway. We have no choice. Jinho watched quietly from the shadows as the alien systematic approach only worsened their situation. Each logical solution they implemented created two new problems. Their advanced technology was failing them precisely because it was too advanced, too interconnected, too dependent on perfect conditions. The ship shuddered again, more violently this time, and several of the floating holographic displays flickered out completely. Through the observation windows, Jinho could see the endless void of space stretching in all directions. No nearby stars, no planets, no rescue ships, just the cold emptiness between worlds. As the crisis deepened and the alien crew's panic intensified, Jinho continued studying his scanner readings, his human mind beginning to see something that would either save them all or confirm his worst fears about what was really happening to the cosmic dawn. Jinho crouched behind a massive power coupling, his scanner revealing what the Voltaran computers couldn't detect. The quantum encryption wasn't just corrupted, it was being actively rewritten by something hidden deep in the ship's systems, while Velter's team continued their systematic diagnostics. Jinho made a decision that would have horrified any alien engineer. He was going to ignore every safety protocol in the Galactic Engineering Manual. Time in, he whispered to his fellow human worker, who was replacing burnt circuit boards nearby. I need your help with something that's either going to save this ship or get us both thrown in the beer. Timely looked up from his work, his young face streaked with sweat and alien coolant fluid. At 22, he was one of the youngest humans aboard the Cosmic Dawn. But he'd grown up in the engine rooms of Earth's orbital shipyards. His hands knew machinery, though. We're a musician, knows instruments. What do you need? Timon asked, crawling over to where Jinho was studying a maze of conduits and power relays. See this? Jinho pointed to his scanner's display. The quantum encryption is being attacked from inside the ship's own network, but it's not random, there's a pattern. The attack is designed to target Voltaron technology specifically. Timon's eyes widened. Sabotage. Has to be. But here's the thing: the sabotage program doesn't understand human modifications to the ship's systems. It's trying to crop circuits that we've already jerry-rigged over the past 2 years round. The engineering bay continued its controlled chaos. Velta's team worked frantically at their holographic displays, following emergency procedures that had been developed over thousands of years of Voltron engineering. Every solution was methodical, logical, and completely ineffective against the spreading system failures. Jinho pulled out a plasma cutter and began opening access panels that were clearly marked with warning symbols in a dozen alien languages. "We're going to bypass the quantum encryption entirely. Route power through the backup systems we installed for the waste recyclers, Jinho. Those systems weren't designed to handle quantum-level power loads," Timon protested. But he was already reaching for his own tools. Exactly. That's why the sabotage program won't expect it. While the Voltron engineers tried to restore their corrupted systems through official channels, the two humans began connecting components that had never been meant to work together. Jinho rerouted the ship's navigation computer through the kitchen's food processor network, while Timon linked the life support systems to the entertainment systems in the diplomatic quarters. Their work looked like complete madness to anyone watching. Cables snaked across the floor in seemingly random patterns. Control circuits from the garbage disposal units were spliced into the quantum cores monitoring systems. The artificial gravity generators were now partially controlled by the ship's music distribution network. "What are those humans doing?" demanded Sub-Engineer Crystal, pointing at Jinho and Timon with obvious alarm. Velda looked up from his failing diagnostics and saw the two humans welding together components from completely different systems. His crystalline features twisted with horror. "This is madness," he muttered, watching Jinho connect a life support sensor to a navigation relay using spare parts from a broken cleaning robot. "You'll destroy what's left of our infrastructure," Chief Engineer called out another Voltron technician. "Should we stop them?" Velda hesitated. Every instinct told him to halt the humans' chaotic work immediately. But his own systematic approach had failed completely, and the ship was still drifting helplessly in space with failing life support. Jinho ignored the alien engineer's horrified stares as he continued his unconventional repairs. His human brain saw connections that alien logic couldn't process, where Voltron engineering demanded perfect compatibility and systematic hierarchy. Human ingenuity thrived on creative solutions and controlled chaos. "Timon, can you get the artificial gravity working through the entertainment system?" Jinho asked, his hands deep in a tangle of multicolored cables already on it. Timon replied, his plasma welder throwing sparks as he fused together circuits that had been manufactured on different worlds. "I'm routing the gravity generators through the holographic movie projectors in the ambassador's quarters." The first sign of success came when the ship's erratic shuddering began to smooth out. The artificial gravity, now controlled by entertainment systems designed for smooth, dramatic effects, actually became more stable than it had been before the crisis. "Impossible," whispered Crystal, staring at his displays. "The gravity field is stabilizing, but according to our diagnostics, it should be completely non-functional next." The life support systems began responding. Air quality improved as Jinho's jury-rigged network bypassed the corrupted primary systems entirely. The metallic taste in the air gradually faded, replaced by the clean, recycled atmosphere that kept everyone breathing. So young Park's voice crackled over the communication system from the bridge. "Engineering, whatever you're doing down there, keep doing it. We're getting partial navigation back online." But as Jinho continued his work, his scanner revealed something that made his blood run cold. The patterns in the static weren't random system failures at all. Hidden within the quantum encryption's corruption was a sophisticated sabotage program. one designed specifically to target non-human technology during diplomatic missions. Time in. He whispered urgently. This isn't an accident. Someone wanted this ship to fail. Someone wanted these ambassadors to die in space. The revelation hit both humans like a physical blow. They weren't just dealing with a technical crisis, they were fighting an act of war disguised as a system failure. And somehow, their chaotic human engineering was the only thing standing between 12 species and a disaster that could destroy galactic peace forever. As sparks flew from their improvised repairs and alien engineers watched in amazement, Jin-Ho and Time In continued their impossible work, slowly bringing the cosmic dawn back from the edge of catastrophe, one jury-rigged connection at a time. Jin-Ho's fingers trembled as he traced the sabotage program's digital signature through his. Scanners, primitive display. The code was elegant, sophisticated, and absolutely ruthless in its design. Hidden beneath layers of false system errors and fake diagnostic reports was a program that had been specifically engineered to destroy any ship. Carrying diplomatic representatives to the Galactic Peace Summit. Time in. Look at this, Jin-Ho whispered, showing his friend the scanner's readout. The sabotage program has a signature embedded in its core code. It's from the Krex Syndicate. Timon's face went pale. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Krex Syndicate, a collection of warrior species who profited from interstellar conflicts. If the peace summit succeeded, it would end dozens of profitable wars and devastate their economy. They had every reason to want the diplomatic mission to fail catastrophically. They planned this perfectly. Jin-Ho continued, his voice filled with growing anger. The program was designed to activate once the ship reached deep space. Far from any rescue vessels, it targets quantum encryption, navigation systems, life support, everything that keeps a ship alive between the stars. The sabotage was diabolically clever. It mimicked natural system failures so perfectly that even advanced Voltron diagnostics couldn't detect the difference. The Krex had studied non-human technology for decades, learning every weakness and vulnerability of the galaxy's most sophisticated systems. But they had made one crucial mistake: they had never bothered to study human engineering. While Jin-Ho analyzed the sabotage program, his improvised repairs continued to restore the ship's functions. The cosmic dawn was coming back to life, but not in any way its original designers had ever intended. Human modifications sneaked through the ship's infrastructure like beneficial viruses, bypassing corrupted systems and creating entirely new pathways for power and data. On the bridge, So Young Park wiped sweat from her forehead as her communication systems finally stabilized. The jury-rigged network that Jin-Ho had created was actually more robust than the original design. By routing communications through multiple backup systems, including the ship's entertainment network and waste management computers, she now had redundant pathways that the sabotage program couldn't touch. Galactic Rescue Command. This is the Cosmic Dawn, she transmitted, her voice clear for the first time since the crisis began. We have restored partial communications and are no longer in immediate danger, however. We have evidence of deliberate sabotage by the Krex Syndicate. The response came back immediately. Copy. Cosmic Dawn. Galactic Security has been monitoring Krex activities. Please transmit all evidence immediately. Meanwhile, Time In had performed his own miracle in the navigation bay. The ship's sophisticated quantum navigation computer had been completely corrupted by the sabotage program, its precise calculations replaced by chaos. But Time In had bypassed it entirely, using the ship's entertainment hologram projectors to create a three-dimensional star map. Navigation restored. He announced over the ship's communication system. We're currently drifting in the Vega sector, approximately 6 hours from our original destination. What amazed the alien crew most was that Jinho's modifications hadn't just repaired the damage, they had actually improved the ship's performance. The Cosmic Dawn was now running at 30% greater efficiency than its original. Specifications: the improvised power routing systems reduced energy waste, the redundant communication networks provided better coverage, and the modified navigation system was more accurate than before. In the engineering bay, Chief Engineer Velta stared at his displays in complete bewilderment. Every reading showed that the ship was functioning better than it ever had, despite the fact that human modifications had violated virtually every principle of Volteron engineering. "This is impossible," he muttered to Sub-Engineer Crystal. "Their repairs make no logical sense, yet our efficiency ratings are higher than they've ever been." The bridge doors hissed open, and Ambassador Zethar entered the engineering bay. The dignified reptilian diplomat moved with the grace of her species, but her usually composed features showed genuine amazement as she surveyed the chaos of human modifications that now kept her ship alive. She approached Jinho directly, her scaled hands clasped in the traditional gesture of respect used by her people. "Engineer Kim," she said formally, using his full name for the first time anyone could remember, "we have gravely underestimated your species." Jinho looked up from his scanner, still covered in grease and coolant fluid, hardly looking like the savior of a diplomatic mission. "Ambassador, I was just doing my job." "No," Zephyr replied firmly. "You accomplished what our most advanced engineers could not. Your chaotic methods accomplish what our ordered systems cannot. We have been foolish to view humanity as primitive." Other alien crew members had gathered round, their various forms of communication creating a babel of languages as they discussed what they had witnessed. The tall Zephyrians clicked and buzzed in amazement, while the small Quilnari squeaked excitedly about the impossible human solutions. Captain Murdoch's voice boomed over the ship's communication system. "All crew, this is your captain. Thanks to the ingenuity of our human crew members, we have not only survived an act of sabotage, but have evidence to prevent future attacks. The Krex Syndicate's attempt to destroy galactic peace has failed." So Young looked up from her communication console, where she was transmitting the sabotage evidence to galactic security. "Jinho, chime in. You need to see this." The Krex program had backup attacks planned for 3 other diplomatic ships. "Our evidence just saved thousands of lives," as word spread throughout the ship. Alien crew members who had spent years ignoring or dismissing their human colleagues began to see them in an entirely new light. The maintenance workers, communication officers, and junior technicians weren't primitive laborers. They were uniquely gifted problem solvers whose creativity and adaptability could accomplish things that advanced alien technology couldn't. An attempt. Jinho sat back against a power coupling, exhausted but satisfied. The Cosmic Dawn was not only safe but stronger than before. The sabotage that was meant to destroy galactic peace had instead revealed humanity's true potential among the stars. For the first time in his 2 years aboard the ship, Jinho felt like he truly belonged there. The Cosmic Dawn glided through the Kepler system with an elegance that surprised even its own crew. Jinho watched from the observation deck as the massive space station that hosted the Galactic Peace Summit grew larger in the viewport. What should have been a desperate rescue mission had instead become a triumphant rival, with the diplomatic vessel running smoother and faster than anyone had thought possible. "Kepler Station Control. This is the Cosmic Dawn," So Young transmitted from her upgraded communications ray, requesting priority docking for diplomatic mission. "We are arriving 4 hours ahead of schedule." The response crackled back with obvious surprise. "Copy, Cosmic Dawn. Priority docking granted Bay 7. Kepler Station Control notes your early arrival with curiosity." Captain Murdoch stood on the bridge, his massive crystalline form no longer radiating the arrogance that had defined Voltaran leadership for centuries. The events of the past day had humbled him in ways he was still struggling to understand. "Engineer Kim," he said formally, turning to address Jinho directly, "please report to my ready room after we dock. We have much to discuss." Jinho nodded, still hardly believing that he was being addressed as an equal by the ship's captain. Just yesterday, he had been crawling through maintenance shafts, ignored and dismissed by every alien officer aboard. Now, he stood on the bridge wearing a new uniform, one that bore the insignia of Chief Systems. Engineer. The promotion had come within hours of their successful repairs. Captain Murdoch had made the announcement over the ship's communication system while Chief Engineer Velta was still staring at his displays in bewilderment. The former Chief Engineer now faced a disciplinary hearing for his arrogance and incompetence. During the crisis, his refusal to listen to Jinho's warnings had nearly caused a diplomatic catastrophe that could have sparked wars across multiple star systems. Velta always said humans were too primitive to understand real engineering, muttered Sub-Engineer Crickstal to his colleagues. Yet they saved us all with spare parts and creative thinking. Time Inley walked onto the bridge wearing his own new uniform, one that identified him as head of innovative engineering solutions, a position that hadn't existed until the Galactic Council created it specifically for him. At 22, he was now one of the youngest department heads in the history of interstellar travel. The modifications are holding perfectly, Time-In reported to Jinho. The improvised power routing systems are actually more efficient than the original design. Engineering teams from 12 different species have requested copies of our blueprints. So young Park joined them, her new communications director insignia gleaming on her collar. The young woman who had spent years proving herself worthy of her position was now being hailed as a hero. Argot the Galaxy, Galactic Security just confirmed that our evidence led to the arrest of 17 Krex Syndicate operatives. She announced with satisfaction. 3 other ships were saved because we exposed their sabotage program. As the Cosmic Dawn docked at Kepler Station, news of their adventure had already spread throughout the galaxy. The story of human ingenuity triumphing over sophisticated sabotage had captured the imagination of countless species. Engineering schools across dozens worlds were already requesting human instructors to teach courses on creative problem solving and adaptive systems design. The docking bay doors opened to reveal a welcoming committee that no one had expected. Ambassador Zethar led a group of high-ranking officials from the Galactic Council, all wearing the formal robes that indicated a ceremony of great importance. Citizens of Earth, Ambassador Zethar announced as Jinho, So Young and Time-In stepped onto the station's polished deck. By order of the Galactic Council, humanity is hereby formally recognized as a Tier 1 technological civilization, with all rights and privileges therein. The announcement sent shockwaves through the assembled crowd. Tier 1 status was reserved for the galaxy's most advanced civilization species with technology and capabilities that benefited all of galactic society. Humans had jumped from being considered primitive laborers to joining the ranks of the most respected species in known space. Furthermore, continued another council member, a towering being with multiple arms and glowing eyes. The Galactic Engineering Consortium extends an open invitation to human engineers to participate in advanced projects throughout the galaxy. Your unique approach to problem-solving has proven invaluable. Jinho felt overwhelmed as dozens of alien officials approached him with job offers, research proposals, and requests for collaboration. Universities wanted him to teach. Corporations wanted to hire him, and governments wanted to consult with him on their most challenging technical problems. But the moment that meant the most came when Captain Murdoch approached him privately in his new quarters aboard the station. The massive Voltaran officer, who had spent his entire career believing in the superiority of his species' systematic approach to everything, looked humbled and genuinely apologetic. Engineer Kim. He said formally, "I owe you and your colleagues a debt that can never be repaid. My species has spent centuries believing that our logical, methodical approach was the only valid way to solve problems. You have shown us that creativity and adaptability are just as valuable as systematic analysis." Captain Jin-Ho replied, "We are all part of the same crew. We should have been working together from the beginning." 3 months later, Jin-Ho stood in his new office aboard the Galaxy-class research vessel New Horizon. Watching construction crews install human-designed modifications to ships throughout the system, he had been appointed as the Galactic Council's first director of adaptive engineering, leading a team of humans and aliens working together to revolutionize interstellar technology. Timon's voice crackled over his personal communicator. "Jin-Ho, the new hybrid drive systems are exceeding all performance expectations. The Endorian fleet wants to retrofit their entire navy with our designs." So Young had established the galaxy's first truly integrated communication network, one that could adapt to any species' technology and remain functional even under the most challenging conditions. Her innovations were being implemented on ships and stations throughout known space. As Jin-Ho gazed out at the stars, he reflected on how much had changed. Humanity was no longer seen as a species of primitive laborers, suitable only for maintenance work and manual labor. They had found their place among the stars as the creative force that the galaxy desperately needed, beings who could see solutions where others saw only problems, who could create order from chaos, and who could accomplish the impossible through sheer ingenuity and determination. The cosmic dawn had been humanity's first step toward true acceptance in galactic society. Now, human engineers, scientists, and innovators were working on projects that would shape the future of interstellar civilization for generations to come. Jin-Ho smiled as he watched a new ship launch from the construction yards, its hull gleaming. With the integration of human and alien technology, humanity had finally found its true purpose among the stars, not as servants or laborers, but as the creative partners that the galaxy had been waiting for without even knowing it. The future stretched out before them, infinite with possibility. The end.